Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Innovation Conversation. Today we are joined by Samuel Pedro. Samuel, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Ricardo.
Samuel, would
So,
you like to introduce yourself to the audience, please?
yes, so my name is Samuel Pedro. I'm original from Portugal. Currently, I'm living in London. It's been 1 year and a half, and I'm spearheading a no-code development agency. The name of the company is No Code District, and we have the pleasure to be partnered with Ricardo and the startups event. And yeah, that's a quick introduction of who I am and what I'm doing at the moment.
But this is quite interesting because obviously we met at my event in I think it's February, but you actually have quite an entrepreneur background. I mean, you've launched your several companies in Portugal, and then you moved to London. I think you're already launching several companies as well. So
Yeah,
how did that journey went? I mean, how did you get started actually in
okay.
Portugal and then over to the UK?
It was quite simple. So basically, I wanted to start working, but I wasn't finding, let's say, a job that I would enjoy. I never
Hmm.
was very good working for my employees, for my employers. So I
Hmm.
decided to start having my own business. It's my seventh business. From those seven, only one did in fact not work at all. All the other ones shut off. But I did in fact shut off all those others. But it was mainly because I was tired of the business. I felt that I needed
Hmm.
other things in my life, or it was related to scale, how much money we can in fact make to be worthwhile doing the business. So at the moment, the main focus is no code district. I still have other two that are like e-commerce businesses, but those are like in very small businesses. Um, but the main focus at the moment is in fact scaling and growing no code district.
And
The
how, I
first
mean,
one,
when you're launching a
go ahead,
business,
go
I
ahead, go
already
ahead.
have tons of questions for you. I was just wondering, like, when you launched the business in Portugal, for example, and I talk with people from all over the world. It's always interesting to compare how hard or how easy it is to launch a business in different countries. Um, how complicated was it to actually launch a business in Portugal versus the UK, and to actually get your first client?
I would say depending on the structure how you decide to in fact start a business, there are a lot of ways you can do it. In Portugal, I was mainly working as we here in the UK would be the same as a solo pro, pro, solo proprietor. I
Hmm.
think that's the name, just one person. I was not working as a limited company in Portugal, so it was quite fast. Let's say in one day you can start doing business and trading as a business. Here in the UK, I decided to go with a limited company instead of going as a individual. So the company is liable, not me. I would say that in the UK, for the limited companies, it's easier and it's faster. So I opened the company like in 2 days, something like that. I
Hmm.
used the Tide, sorry for the promotion, but Tide account, that's a bank.
Yeah.
And I opened my company using Tide, and it took like 2 days to start to be able to have a company operating in the UK. So the hurdles to open a business in the UK were much less than would be in Portugal to open a limited company. Regarding getting the first clients, the comparison I would say from all the business I had, the same model, the agency model, I have at least on my side 3 times the experience. One of them did not work at all. We did zero, literally zero. So we decided to shut it. I decided to shut it down at the
Hmm.
time in Portugal. But regarding the agency model, I would say it's not the time to find the first client or to get the first client was almost the same. We are talking like less than 2 weeks to get the first client.
Okay, so it's actually
Um,
it's pretty quick.
yeah, but I think the main difference from what I've been experiencing here in the UK compared to Portugal, besides my experience, it's been at least 7, 8 years that I've been working on the entrepreneurship agency side of things. So the experience is different now. But I would say the main difference is the speed, not the speed you get opportunities.
Hmm.
In Portugal, it was a little bit slower than in the UK. Here in the UK, it's not easy, but with a nice workload, we can get like consistent leads. I know that probably every week I can get to 3, 4 in good weeks, 5 new meetings for new clients,
Hmm.
while in Portugal would be half of that. Regarding also the value of the projects, it's very different. The market is much bigger and money is spent in a different rhythm.
In all these companies you've launched, did you ever get external funding for the company, or how do you get funding? You just literally waited, you asked for half the money up front, and then that's how you funded the business, or was there a different external funding?
So I would say all of the business were bootstrapped. My
Hmm.
first real big business in Portugal, that was SP Business Group. We were working mainly in marketing, websites, and business strategy, and some branding. I did. Now I would say it was a mistake or an error, but at the time didn't
Hmm.
felt like it. The company via a personal credit
Hmm.
at the time, so that's how I started SP Business Group at the time in Portugal. It was, I would say, it was a bad decision in this. It was a bad decision since I made a credit that it was not necessary. For now on No Code District, it's totally bootstrapped. I had
Hmm.
some money aside, but it was used to create some things for the company. But all the businesses have been in some way bootstrapped. Only SP Business Group, we had a 10K personal credit at the time. We covered the credit expenses after 1 year, so that was okay. But that was my only experience with having funding for my own business. I know it from other entrepreneurs that they
Hmm.
do in fact go to VCs, angels, and so on. But I've never had the experience. Probably in the future, if I decided to, one of the main things we want to do in No Code District is also to start a startup studio, of our own software as a service companies.
Hmm.
We will probably venture into trying to find funding or capital outside, but that would be, let's say, a strategic decision. So I can focus on other stuff and having a team working on a
Hmm.
specific software as a service project.
It's actually quite interesting your story, because most entrepreneurs I talk to, not most, but all of the startups are always looking for funding. So that's the go to model, which is, hey, can I get some external funding, because I don't want to bootstrap. I just want to get a really nice office and have unlimited beer. I need some VC to back me up for that one. So bootstrapping is always fascinating, but I don't know. You obviously talk with a lot of entrepreneurs yourself. So, what do you think are like the main errors that people keep on having, time and time again, or keep on making time and time again?
Having a clear, there are many errors that an entrepreneur can make for sure. I've made a ton of them, and I will continue to make. I think you can find different perspectives of what kind of errors, but on the business side of things, not having a clear picture of how the business will work, how it's going to be the day to day of the business, like just having the idea, not having a clue of what it takes to market, to sales,
Mhm.
to manage a customer relationship, to manage complaints, to find other suppliers. If you have a team, to manage the workload of that team, all of those needy and greedy of the day to day of the business. Especially if you are an entrepreneur and you have a very small team, let's say one guy, two guys, three people working.
Mhm.
If you don't have that thing set up, could be a disaster. But if you are not able to learn and adapt, could definitely put the business in a bad field. So that's one of them. The other one is having an idea that doesn't have a demand or enough demand. That would be a second mistake, not having a good enough market research about what is going on. Sometimes we officially launch the business a ver- without a testing period, or at least a testing mindset. Okay, I will
Mhm.
work on this business for 2 months, but it's official, it's launched, we are working, but it's a testing phase. Let's see how it works. Let's see what I can learn from, in fact, having the business on the ground and working. And that's why I was saying, like, the testing phase or the testing mindset, that would allow us for us to say after 2 months, if it's not working, if you don't like it, because you don't know if you like to work on that business
Mhm.
until you are in fact working on the day to day, having the chance to at least pivot or change to something that you weren't thinking at the first moment. So I would say those are like important mistakes not to do when you're starting a business, especially if you are a young first time entrepreneur. Make sure you understand that this will require work. There's a lot of operational stuff. Make sure you choose a business idea that will have demand so you can make some money out of the effort you are having on creating a business. Is not an easy stuff
Hmm.
to do. And make sure you are flexible enough in the beginning to change if needed, for your own good if you don't like the business, or for, for on the money side of things, if in fact there's another opportunity that is better for you or the team.
And I'm always curious about this because I know you've done a lot of sports yourself. You know, you're I'm gonna say well-known athlete, but you kind of are a well-known athlete, so you have a career in in sports as well. And when you're building a business, I'm sure you had a lot of down moments, right? Those moments you just want to give up and say, I'm gonna throw in the towel. That's it for me. How do you get past those moments? What was that one thing that kept on ringing in the back of your mind saying, I got this, or I don't have this, or I need to keep doing this because of A, B, and C? I mean, what was it?
So I don't want to be like the source of any proof, but I may share my opinion. So I would say
Hmm.
definitely entrepreneurship is a place of learning, especially if you in fact commit to to being an entrepreneur. So for now, definitely we can change throughout life, and stuff happens, and we are always open to change. But if in fact you don't like to work for somebody else and you want to build your own company, and you want to have your own stuff, like not working up, it's okay being an employee. I've been an employee, and I see the benefits of it, but I see also the downside of it on a more uh, personal level. Let's say on the value side of things, on the philosophy of life, all of those things. So I would say the things for me that ground me the most to continue on the path of entrepreneurship is like looking in the future, looking in the future and see what in fact I can achieve comparing the two things. Okay, let's imagine I spend 20 years being an employee. What will happen to my life? Let's say
Hmm.
regarding my relationships, my network, my net worth, my creativity, all of those areas that I like to nourish on myself. What would happen what will happen in the next 20 years if I continue to be an employee, or if I in fact risk and go being an entrepreneur and continue to be an entrepreneur. So that's what keeps me the most grounded, is what I can achieve in continue to being an entrepreneur, even though it's not easy, even though sometimes it's not the sweetest fruit we can eat. There's a lot of things that we have to suck it up and continue to do. But normally, it's basically looking at 20 years and see, okay, what can I achieve, and will I be happy if I have at least a chance or the opportunity to achieve this? I know it depends mainly on me, also the other person, but if you are able to adapt, continue to learn, and you have a good appetite for dubious decisions that you have to make from time to time, I think that's what keeps me grounded. Okay, I will continue to learn. It's just a challenge. If I face this challenge once or twice and I'm able to overcome it, we will continue to become better at overcoming challenges within the business, whether it's in marketing, strategy, product, team, and so on. So I would say, if you have the stomach to do it, continue to do it. Worst case scenario, we can always bounce back as being an employee, and it's a learning experience. But at the moment, that's what I would say to for people that want to continue to be an entrepreneur and face those hard times, would be okay. Just focus what is the opportunity that lies ahead in the next years, and what is the risk of not taking that chance, just
Because
being other things.
it's all about risk management, isn't it? Because I talk with a lot of people and they all say the same thing. It's all about managing risk and then calculating, okay, can I handle the pressure of having this risk on on top of me for X amount of time or not? and then based on that, you risk it, and you just see if you're able to be successful, isn't it?
The other side, as being an employee, is also a risk. So there are things that only happen if you are an employee. You can be fired, for instance. On
Yeah.
your business, you cannot be fired. So it's your business. Worst case scenario, you have to work harder. If something is not working, you just have to try to do it in a different way, based on your learnings. But yeah, I would say risk is definitely one continuous aspect of being an entrepreneur. Risk of time, risk of money, risk of relationships, risk of mental health, personal on your own health. But I think again, if we are able to be in a specific context or moment of life and be open to learn and adapt with
Hmm.
some kind of intention behind, you will be able to continue to operate and do other stuff.
I'm always curious. How do you manage your own mental health on this journey? Because you've had many successes throughout your career. So how do you keep on making sure that you make the right decisions, but also that you're able to control your stress levels, to have a somewhat healthy life? How do you manage all that?
I think that's very flexible. I try my best to have like to stick to routines, let's say, but it also depends on the workload I have at a
Hmm.
specific moment. But if you ask me like any habits or things that I do to make sure I'm healthy, uh, would be definitely to have a couple of hours a day, at least one or two, that I'm not working. 1 hour or
Hmm.
two that I'm doing something else that is not work. That's one of the things I try my best to do. Sometimes we have like 16-hour work days, but it's not possible. It depends.
Ouch. Yeah.
It may happen sometimes. It's not every day,
Yeah.
but let's say it may happen. It already happened several times throughout my career. So um, I would say definitely have a specific moment of your day that you are not working. I do recommend exercise at least
Hmm.
3 4 times a week, just to keep your body healthy and your mind healthy. I do like to journal. It also helps me to put my thoughts out and be able to see them and
Hmm.
learn from what I'm thinking. It also helps to in some way structure your thinking. Like as a entrepreneurs, we may be bombarded with messages about mindset and how mindset is important. But if you, besides just of your internal self-talk, if you are able to put it in words in a paper, for instance, or on your iPad
Hmm.
or computer, you, in some way, even without noticing, you are committing yourself to the process of reflecting and writing and making sure one thing is thinking, the other thing is writing. So
Hmm.
everyone thinks, but not everyone is able to write or express an idea in a phrase. So I would say that without being aware of it, you start creating your own narrative, and then you can, in some way, direct your words and your way of thinking towards your goals. So it's like uh, it's like being in the woods, let's say, and you start finding your path and creating your path based on the what you are thinking and how you are able to write and articulate your own ideas about, let's say, business, for instance.
Hmm.
You can even explore the business side of things. So I would say write, journal, do some exercise, and take some time off every day just to be able to operate on another level the next day. If it's not possible, try your best to manage the workload, and if it's not today, try to do it tomorrow.
I'm always curious on one very interesting thing, I think, which is the books you read, right?
Okay.
So which ones are the ones that give you the most motivation? I mean, to be honest, I'm a big fan of. It's going to sound even embarrassing. I'm a big fan of comic books, and I
Okay.
remember reading Donald Duck and stuff like that. Whenever I'm feeling down, thinking, you know what, I'm probably having a better day than he has. So that always keeps me motivated. So, what books do you read and keep you motivated?
So I don't read books that are not technical. So the only
Okay,
time I
all right.
read like fiction books were in
Mm-hmm.
school was in school. Otherwise, I started reading a lot when I entered the university, my bachelor. That's when I started reading a lot. Until university,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like a lot to read. But then I found books that, in fact, I like to read because I can learn something from them. So at the moment, So that's regarding books. I only read technical books where I can learn something from it. I don't like fiction.
Hmm.
I will probably start reading fiction somewhere in my life, but it's not easy for me to, let's say, War and Peace of Tolstoy. I will rather read 2,000 pages or 3,000 pages of something about business or app development or marketing, so I
Hmm.
can turn that knowledge into something useful for my, or at least touchable for my life. So books that I would recommend for somebody to read: Profit First. I would say Profit First is a nice book to read if you are a business owner. If you are starting a business, start thinking about the profit, how you're gonna make a profit. I would also recommend some. I don't know. I'm awful on the about the authors and so on, but I would recommend Seth Godin for marketing. That's for sure.
Hmm.
There's also, I don't know. It's a collection of how to build business models and how to build value propositions. I think it's from Strategizer. I guess that's the word.
Okay.
I think that's the company that produces the books. Yeah, I would say I have read about every area of a business, from law to HR to marketing to strategy, operations, and so on. So I would say if you can read, choose a topic that you like and read and
Hmm.
learn and try to make something out of it.
I'm wondering, all the companies you approach now and become your clients, have you found that, how should let me rephrase that. Everyone's kind of talking about Web3 and crypto and blockchain and all these things. And we're still building websites, not fully on Web3, but mostly Web2 today. Do you think everyone should start building things on Web3 or just continue Web2? Because if you just need the basic thing, Web2 actually works quite well.
I'd say you can definitely continue to build on Web 2. We cannot run from Web 3. It will come, and when it comes,
Hmm.
it will be the normal thing, the same as AI. At the beginning, very few people were using AI. No, nowadays, almost every business is using AI. To be honest, I'm not a specialist in blockchain or
Hmm.
Web3 or quantum computer or virtual reality or augmented reality, but those are like the main areas that will, and AI. Those are the main areas that will impact how we as human beings do stuff. So if a business, if they should build a business on a website on Web3, and what kind of business are we talking about? Do we have a vision for that business? Because that would
Hmm.
be that's true. If you are a company and you want to build a website, okay, why are you choosing between building on Web3 and or Web2? I think that decision should only be made if you have a clear idea of why you want to go to Web3 at the moment. Otherwise, you can just continue on Web2 and don't have all the other things that Web3 will require, or blockchains or so on. So I think again, it's mainly about what you want to achieve on the business and what are the goals. If it makes sense, go with Web3. If it doesn't make sense and we don't know why I would go with Web3, let's continue
Hmm.
on Web2 and do what it's normal to be doing at the moment. But for sure, if you are a business owner, myself, I include myself on that pool. That's something I want to. I will this year probably. I will learn
Yeah.
more about blockchain and Web3, so I can in fact be prepared to operate on that area without any lack of knowledge, at least of those
Hmm.
areas. So those are like that's the future. Those are the areas, at least on the technological side of things. That's
Um,
what is coming.
I wanted to ask you if you could go back 3 years in the past and knowing what you know now, what would you say to yourself 3 years ago?
That business that you have an idea about, just start it. It's a matter of doing, and that doing will compound. It's a matter of action.
Hmm.
I would say probably learn more if you can, read more, try more. Don't worry that much. To be also something I would say. Don't worry. You just keep working, and things will come. Will unfold in a good manner. Um, yeah, those would be like three things I would say to myself. Like if I was looking 3 years ago, about what I was doing. I did change from Portugal to the UK, so on that change, on that relocation, I did start working for a company, but that
Hmm.
was because I felt the risk was too much coming from Portugal and on the same, let's say, after 1 week coming from Portugal, opening a business in the UK without never have been on the UK. So I did wait like for 9 months before I
Hmm.
started working on the UK as and operating as a UK business. But yeah, those are like the advice I would say. Don't
Okay.
stress and continue to work.
And for your agency, the No Code District, um, what services you offer to
Okay.
companies? Because obviously we have a lot of entrepreneurs. And I want to make sure that they know exactly what we do. So what type of services would you offer them?
In simple terms, we build websites and applications.
Hmm.
That's what we do. Now, we do those two services from end to end. So, from the concept of the website to the concept of the application until the moment the application or the website is on the market and trading,
Hmm.
and all the work that's needed after, like iterations, analytics, some pivots, some changes on the website and applications, or version 1, version 2, version 3.
Hmm.
We support that development. If it's a company that is starting with us, we also work on the marketing side of things. Besides the development, if we help that startup build their first version of their product, let's say their first MVP, we help them
Hmm.
with a go-to-market strategy and all the stuff that's required on the marketing side of things. We work mainly so those two services from end to end and continuous ongoing in order for iterations and growth. Besides those two services and the process, we work with founders and small and medium enterprises. Normally, the founders want to start their own software as a service company. That's
Hmm.
mostly the type of founders we work with. Normally, the small and medium enterprises want to build their internal tools so they don't have to depend on third party software,
Hmm.
or they want to start integrating AI in their own operations within the business, and they need like internal tools that are able to handle AI. So those are like the two main segments. And we also help companies that are already built on Bubble.io, and we
Hmm.
work with them in order to continue to create versions, features, monitoring, auditing, security, and that's what we do at the moment on No Code.
Okay. Samuel, if people want to reach out to you, how can they do so?
That's easy. You can find me on open-experts.com. I have a profile over there. You can also reach me at samuel@nocodedistrict.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Samuel Pedro. That's not a lot of Samuel Pedros in the world, so Samuel Pedro, No Code District. You can definitely find me on LinkedIn.
Thank you so much for your time, Samuel. I really
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much, Ricardo. It was a pleasure.